Hare Krishna, welcome to the Dham Good Podcast, your favorite Hare Krishna lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Rupa, and I'm here with my guest co-host, Manasi Ganga. And behind the camera, we have Rupa! Woohoo! All right. So, how are you? How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, actually. What about you, Prema?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Are you adjusting?
Yeah, I'm adjusting, and this time it's a little different.
Oh, so Manasi lived here in 2014. You moved here.
Yeah.
You left in 2016. Now you're back, and you're like, the plan is to live here.
Yeah, the plan is to stay here for now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was always like so excited about coming to Mayapur, and every time I'd come here, I would just have that euphoria just from being here, walking around, doing whatever I'm doing. But this time something is wrong because. I don't know, I think I've gotten a little older and a little more antisocial, so like,
Do you feel like you're more cynical?
yeah, and most of my
I think
friends
that comes with age.
That I used to be friends with here, they're not here anymore. And you're not doing dramas. Nobody's doing any kind of activity where I can participate apart from kirtans and stuff, and going to the temple. So that's what makes me a little sad, because I felt like it was a lot more fun when I lived here when I was 16. But I mean, I was a teenager. Everything would be fun at that age.
Life is exciting and everything's all fresh and new.
But I just, I thought
everything's all old and sad.
No. And I thought, going to this quiet village, Mayapur, after Moscow and all the stuff that's been going on there, I will feel awesome and chill. Yeah, I'm really chill, but at the same time, I'm kind of sad.
Oh no. See, you need to make some friends, some new friends.
Yeah, I gotta do something, gotta make friends, gotta, some kind of activity. Because for now, I'm just like...
Yeah, there's really nothing going on in Mayapur, right? It was dramas, and that was
especially when you're no longer a kid,
Yeah.
or no longer youth, or, those 17, 18 years old. Nothing is going on, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So you just, at least the internet is good. It's fast, so...
The internet keeps me company.
So...
She's like talking to somebody on a screen. Like, so sad. No. I don't know. Like I said, I keep saying, I just want this to become something, and then we can invite more people in to participate and do things, So the goals are there. I'm trying to every morning I wake up and I'm like working out, I'm like doing manifestations. I'm like, I can see it now. Okay, so let's do our getting to know you question. I want to give it a different name. I feel like getting to know you is so don't you feel like, I was thinking about calling it Sadhu Sangha. Our Sadhu Sangha question.
But our questions aren't exactly...
You're associating with us!
Sure, the Sangha bit is there, but the Sadhu bit is not so much...
Am I not a Sadhu?
It's not very Sadhu-like.
So, what you got for us, Kripa?
Okay, so my question is, are you more of a book kind of person or a movie kind of person?
I think I'm a movie kind of person.
I don't know. Would I rather read okay, so are you talking about, would I rather, is it the same story? Or just any book, any movie?
Just in general, sure, you can take it like that, or also just in general, what would you, how do you fill your time, and what is a more, what do you like doing more? Because you always have, one over the other.
Right. I feel like I watch a lot of movies, but I'm a book person. When I get a book, I can't sleep until the book is done, But I think movies just sort of are there as like a background noise for whatever I'm doing in life, you know? Or like I'll watch for a little bit and then I pause and I go do some laundry and I come back and you know? I think I'm a book person. Yeah? What are you?
Well, actually, I think I'm really similar to what you just said, because whenever I get a book, I am just so into that, and I don't sleep, as you said, before I finish it.
Yeah.
But with movies, or, you know, it's always like, I'll watch it later, I will, you know, finish it later. Oh, we watched a part of it, it's still okay, you know. It's not as captivating, let's say, and you don't feel the emotions, and it's really important for me to know what the person is feeling, and a book gives much deeper I forgot how to speak English, I'm sorry, a much deeper what
you feel like more connected with a book. Yeah and like another thing too, like I can read any kind of book and I feel fine, you know, even though I'm like immersed in the story. So I'll read, you know, something scary or, you know, sci-fi or comedy or romance, whatever. Like I can read any kind of book, murder mystery, whatever. But a movie, I can only watch comedies. I cannot, I just like, I can't watch any other kind of movie.
Why?
You know, I get too invested in the story and I get scared.
But like you literally used to be our drama director. And
yeah, you could see how mentally disturbed I was. That's from being overly immersed. You know?
Okay.
So like, yeah, so I can only watch like sitcoms, because if I watch something depressing, I'm like depressed for a month. And then like I think about that one random scene that terrified me or made me sad.
Have you ever tried watching a movie, but, you know, telling yourself that this is really a movie and you're just watching it?
Then what am I watching it for?
Well, you're still kind of, you know...
What are they acting for?
Feeling all of that, but just not that intensely when you
What if it's a true story?
Yeah, but you tell yourself that this is a movie and, you know, I don't get in, like, too deep into that. So
what if you believe in ghosts? What do I do then?
Well, don't watch horror movies.
So don't watch horror movies. See?
Well, I mean, over here we're kind of talking. You just made it sound like there's only comedy and horror, and that's the only two genres in existence.
No, well, even like dramatic movies or murder mystery type. I can't watch any of them. I can only comedies, stupid, fart comedies where they, you know what I mean? Like, they just do dumb things and they trip over each other and I lost my car or whatever the story is, you know? These are the only movies I can watch. I can't watch anything else. You don't understand. I get traumatized from movies. Once my parents made me sit and watch 12 Years a Slave. I was traumatized. That's a true story, you know that? That happened to that man. They just kidnapped him and made him a slave for 12 years even though he was free. Jeez. Horrible. It's terrifying. That could happen to any one of us.
Yeah, you have a trauma. That's just what I'm seeing here. Then don't watch movies.
I think I'm like traumatized and then I watch the characters, I'm like, oh, I can connect with all your feelings. So bad. I understand. Yeah, what about you, Creeper?
I don't know why you're such a good drama director, because you are so into that.
I'm like, we're gonna make the audience cry today, and that was me, remember? I'm like, find that one person that looks like they're really into it and give them all you got. That was like my secret to acting. Like, just look them in the eye, be like, I'm suffering.
And it worked.
It did.
Cry.
Yeah, everybody cried. Yeah, Creepo, what about you? Book, movie? I think you're a movie guy.
Well, I read a lot, but I mean specifically because I write. I do read a lot. That is my thing. But in terms of, I get more invested in reading. I guess kind of similar to what both of you said.
Yeah.
I get more like in volume. I'll watch more. But when I read, I get way more invested. It's more like I guess because with a book specifically, it leaves so much to the imagination, specifically in terms of setting and everything. you kind of like I find it easier to get like really involved in the whole thing because you think of it so much. You gotta actually, you can't just like a movie. You just kind of sit back and watch it, and everything is in front of you. You know what's happening. With a movie, there's a lot of imagination going on where you're imagining this entire story
with a book
in your head.
Right.
So it's like it's your brain is, I guess, a lot more involved. So then that's why like I would enjoy reading more, but in terms of volume, I do watch more.
Yeah. Interesting. That was a good question.
Yeah.
So, for those of you watching, if you want to tell us, are you a movie person, a book person? Let us know in the comments, because I'd like to know if you can relate, I guess. So now we're going to move on to our Hare Krishna hot take. That's what the main segment is called, because it's a hot take, and we're Hare Krishna peoples. So I was thinking we could talk about body image. Last week I happened to be at Verinda's Pizzeria, and I was chatting with a young girl, and she just randomly, I don't know why she told me, but she was just like, yeah, my mom gives me a hard time about my weight. And she's not like a big one, you know, she's not fat. She's normal size to me. And I mean, I couldn't tell she was like bundled up, but I know her and I know what her body looks like. It was like, you know, and then she says, you know, you really should do a podcast about body image. And I was like, yeah, you know, because it is something I think that affects everybody. Like mostly, like, I think we talk about it in terms of like how women feel about their bodies, but I think men also feel,
Everyone
feel that way too. So can you tell me, like, what is your personal experiences with body image? Like, have you ever had a negative body, like, have you looked at yourself and you were just like, I am hideous, like, why do I walk on this earth?
I remember those times. That was exactly when I was like 16 and living here, and that was happening. I just looked at myself and I don't deserve love, happiness. I am so fat. I am so ugly, and everything.
Even though she was not fat, you were like not even
chubby. I got those cheeks.
You just had this beautiful round face.
Yeah.
You know, this is the problem with y'all skinny bitches, okay? Because you'll be like, I'm fat, and then you'll pick up your skin and be like, look at it. It's like, you don't have anything on you. Calm down.
And also, I feel like lots of teenagers are kind of swollen. You know, they're not really fat or chubby much. They're just going through their teenage phase.
Yeah.
And then my mom would keep on telling me that when you turn 20, it's just going to naturally disappear. You will just slim down. And I was like, that's not true. I don't believe you. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? My face. Wow, I look good.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. I mean, the journey was actually super long. It started when I was like 16. I tried going on diets.
I never forget
that chocolate diet.
The chocolate diet. And every time I walk into biology class, this girl's on a different diet. And I don't remember the other diets, but one day I walked in and she's like, I just have to eat 1,000 calories in chocolate a day or something like that.
500 calories a day. Just one chocolate bar a day, you know, gives the diabetes away.
It's just like, this cannot last. It sounds delicious. You can't just eat a chocolate every day and nothing else.
Yeah, but, you know, when you're 16, you're just, you know, trying your best to get to that goal because you think that when you lose weight, every boy is going to like you and the cool kids are going to, you know, invite you to their crew or whatever. You know, all the good things are going to happen to you. You'll be noticed, you know, everything will be fine. But it doesn't work like that. And it took me so many years to realize and stuff. So yeah, for some time I really struggled with negative body image for many years. And only like, I don't know, couple years ago I stopped and everything just changed. But it was a really long journey that involved therapy, psychology, just lots of different lectures, affirmations, mantras. That's what they call them now, you know. On the YouTube, and they're like, oh my god, what's the mantra for good mood, for, you know, feeling yourself? I'm like, that's not a mantra, but well, okay, whatever you guys Like, so yeah, it was, especially here in my, I don't know why. I know why it started here in my point of view. Also know.
I'm here.
No, I'm not gonna say it, but you know exactly why.
We're gonna cut here and you're gonna tell me.
She's kind of fat, and that was it. That phrase, I remember her. I never thought I was fat until...
And you weren't fat.
Yeah, until he said, she's cool, but she's kind of fat, you know? Something like that. And I was like, as if I opened my eyes and saw that I was not skinny, or, you know, I just stopped seeing that I was actually beautiful still. Because, you know, sometimes I would come up to a friend of mine who's slightly chubby, and she's like, oh my God, you look so pretty. And then she just goes, I am fat, as if you cannot be pretty and fat at the same time, as if it's just such a big, when you call someone bad words, an insult. That's such an insult, but I feel like we should get away from that, because I think being skinny or being fat is just words. They are not insults. And for some people, it's also really insulting when you say, oh my God, like, you're so skinny. Have you been like on a diet? But the person is like,
I have cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
That happens to me constantly. Someone will be like, oh my God, you look so good. I'm like, well, I have had food poisoning for like 2 months, you know? So that's something.
And that's in our society to say that if the person's lost weight, that means, you know, you look good, and they're not even wondering why the person's lost weight, and they like to compliment on that, even though you might be dying on the inside and stuff, and they're just, oh, you're looking good, and you're like, I'm not feeling good.
Oh no.
So sorry. Yeah, you know. So, but I feel like the situation is changing right now. I mean, even 10 years ago, it was already kind of changing, but it was not like the way it is now. And I feel like the time we're living in right now is really, how do you...
Progressive?
Yeah, it's really progressive. And it's a lot easier to be kind to yourself. Because I think all of that comes from not being kind to yourself. Because, you know, let's say there's a little kid who doesn't get math, and you would come up to that kid and say, oh my God, you're so stupid, you're not getting it, like you should try harder, but you're like stupid, and you know, do all those terrible things. You wouldn't ever do that to a kid if you know at least something about parenting, right?
Yeah.
But we constantly do that to ourselves.
True.
Always. Like, and we're not talking to ourselves in a nice way. We always say, you are fat, you don't deserve anything, you gotta, you know, look at others, they're working hard, you know, they're working out, cutting out all the carbs, why are you not doing that? Well, you don't have the power, you don't have, you know, that inside you, you are weak, you are not worthy and stuff. And most of people talk to themselves like that. Yeah. And that's just
it's
the
sad.
Worst thing to
and
do
the tiny
ever.
Little child in your heart is like dying inside. That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah. I had a question. I totally forgot about it because I was listening to what you're saying. Narayan always has this issue with me. He's like, he thinks I'm crazy. No, that's true. So then, and here was the thing too, okay? Like, I don't know if I'll add this or not, but the person that we were talking about, yeah, I'll put it in. He's not watching, whatever. The person that you were talking about, I mean, this guy, like, when you think about it, you're like, why does his opinion matter? You know, because at that time you were like, I'm in love with him or whatever. But, like, when you look at it, like, really, like, take a step back, it's like, this dude, a crackhead, homeless loser. You know what I mean? Why does his opinion matter?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Like, whenever somebody insults me, I'm like, why does this person's opinion matter? Like, who cares? Exactly. You know?
Yeah, and I realized that later, like a few years after, I just looked back and I was like, really? That's the reason I started hating on myself?
Yeah.
Going on a chocolate diet? Just because he said something? What was going on? But I feel like when you were a teenager, you're so fragile, and whatever they say, it just gets to you like super fast. Yeah. And when you were a teenager, you haven't, you know, built that kind of shield yet to protect you from all of that.
Right.
And yeah, it's just really complicated to be a teenager.
Yeah. I think like these days there's a lot more resources than there used to be also. Like in my day when there was no internet, you know, or YouTube or anything. So you just sort of suffer in silence and then you feel like you're the only person that's feeling this way, you know?
Yeah.
But now with the internet, it's like, oh, everybody sort of doesn't like something about themselves or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, it's how we feel about ourselves. That's the most important. And I mean, I think it's so hard, like, for example, with the girl that I talked to last week. Because it's not like she's hating on herself. It's her mom telling her, you're too fat, you need to lose weight, you know? When she's in fact not fat at all.
Maybe she's projecting her own fears onto her daughter.
Maybe.
Because that's what they normally do.
I
Because
mean,
they're scared that she's not going to be accepted in the society, you know, but I think if you think that your child has weight problems, you don't, you know, go harsh on them. You just try and help them out and, you know, let me cook this super healthy, but, you know, your favorite variation of this meal, but let's just, you know, substitute some products to make it a little healthier, or let's work out together, or maybe you want to do yoga. That is healthy, but, you know, telling your child that, you know, you're fat and you're going to lose weight, nah.
Yeah.
I mean, family is a place where everybody's going to be seeking support, and that's what it's supposed to be all about. So when that place is no longer that place that gives you support, where do you go?
Exactly.
And you feel really bad.
And I think we put so much emphasis also on what our family thinks. Because like I said, that guy, you could just sort of brush him off and be like, whatever, he's a crackhead loser, right? And then just move on with your life. But like when it's like your mom, you know, or somebody whose opinion you value, it's really hard. It's really hard. So, I mean, I think a lot of it has to just come from within. And I told the girl, I keep calling her a girl because I'm old, but like she's like 21. she's not a girl. She's a woman. She's a woman. You know.
If she's 21, there is
you know,
separation. I mean, and if you are going through that with your parents, after some time, even when they say things like that or opinions that don't match with you, it doesn't matter to you because you're separated and you are like a separate adult now.
I don't know. I still value my parents.
No, valuing
like,
is nice, but I'm talking about, like, familiar with the term separation in matters of therapy and psychology.
No, I don't have money for therapy. Look,
you are a rich American. You were just
therapy was super expensive.
I see. Well, yeah.
What do you mean by separation then?
Separation. I'm not sure if the same term is used in English, but in Russian it's literally separation. So that is a process starting when you are around 16-18, ending when you are about, should end before 25.
Right.
That's the thing. So that's the process of you separating from your parent, but not physically, but mentally, to the point where you have different opinions or different thoughts and stuff, but that doesn't hurt you anyhow. You don't, feel guilty, for instance, for not doing what your parent told you. You're just being a completely separate person.
That has never happened to me. I think it depends on your upbringing. Like, I'm Indian, so I will feel guilty till the day I die for everything.
Well, I think
that's a problem.
I think it's not only in Indian families.
Yeah.
Because for my grandmother, for instance, she doesn't understand the term separation. She's like, how can you say things like that and have your own opinion? She doesn't say it with words like that, like literally, but that's what she means. And she's like, but we're a family. She doesn't understand that even when we are family, we are still separated adults. We are people, and it's complicated. But I feel like it's really important for you to grow because if you haven't done that, things from your family or your parents, or something that they may occasionally say during family gatherings, during
Right.
Thanksgiving and stuff,
Whatever,
they're gonna say something, you're just gonna be like, oh my god, I'm 30 and oh my god, they just said that, and
why am I in the bathroom crying?
Yeah,
That's me.
So there is that. And when you're gone through that, it's much more simpler to not listen or not care about what they say about your weight or your life or whatever. You're just like, yeah, I accept what you said and I love you anyway, but I will do it the way I want it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But again, that has to come from a place of like confidence. Like I told this girl, I was like, woman. I was like, look, like, if you've gained weight and you know how to resolve that. Like, it doesn't matter what she thinks of you, Like, I could sit here and tell you, oh, you're fine, you don't need to lose weight. But it doesn't matter, like, what I think, Like, when I gain weight, I know I gained weight. I can feel I've gained weight or whatever it may be. So, I mean, it just really has to come from inside, I know, like, for me, like, growing up Indian, there's such a focus on, like, having light skin, and I'm brown. I come from a family of brown people,
Amazing skin.
I don't think so. Well, I mean now, but in those days when I was young, and you watch all those Bollywood movies and they have, like, and my nose, like, I was always very self-conscious about my nose, because I always felt like I had a big nose. And, and I have this brown skin. And then, like, I had bushy eyebrows and glasses. I was just, like the height of nerdiness, And I just felt like that for a long time. I don't know what stopped it, like, when I stopped caring about it. But, I mean, just one day, it just wasn't a big deal, And, and now, like, again, because we have social media and, like, more access to, like, seeing things, like how people do things. Like, I know half those Bollywood people are brown like me, and they put on, it's the lighting and the makeup. And you ever watch those videos of, like, Indian bridal makeup? Yeah, and they're like 10 shades lighter than their actual skin color. It's the craziest thing, They're literally not doing makeup, they're doing face painting. Narayan had a good word for this. He says they're beautiful. Boot like a ghost. So, yeah. So I always think of that. Like, they look like a ghost. They're, like, so white, and their skin color was fine, there was no reason to have to change their entire complexion. But there's just, like, this weird focus on fairness. And then, like, when we look at Shastra, that wasn't really a big deal. Like, there was so many people of so many different colors.
Like, Draupadi was really dark.
Draupadi was dark, Nardmuni is a blondie,
I feel like now
Ram is green.
Much more chances to embrace the, what's it called? The differences of all the people. Yeah. We have a lot more representation of that in social media, so that you can be skinny, you can be fat, you can be with a disease, or you can just, be normal or not normal, or with freckles or bald, or, with some kind of crazy, what are these called? I forgot.
What?
These little moles?
Moles or freckles?
Freckles. Not freckles. What? Freckles are on the face, right?
You can get freckles on your body.
Well, okay.
You got
English.
You got freckles. You got freckles.
Yeah, but and then before.
Is there a separate word for freckles in Russian?
Yeah,
for the face
and for the ones on the body.
What is it for the one on the body?
I don't know.
Freckles.
Well, what I'm saying is that you see that a lot more now, and because before it was only skinny white, super skinny white girls with huge eyes and perfect faces and everything, and now everybody, you open your Instagram, everybody just like almost every few posts you see that.
Yeah.
You know, people posting something about their bodies, people posting something about embracing themselves, and I think it's nice that we have that.
But then you read the comment section.
Yeah, I don't have
And it's rough. It's rough. Yeah. Most of the time it's pretty nice, but you get this one random person. And then again, like, something I always try to remember when I'm on social media is imagine that you met this person, like, in person. What is their situation? They're usually not the pinnacle of attractiveness or richness or power. They might not even be an adult. They might be a child who's just saying crazy things on the internet. Are they worth taking seriously or worth responding to? Probably not.
Yeah, and also lots of people think that it's okay to comment hateful things on people's posts.
I think it's crazy. There's a whole other person on the other end of that thing,
Would you do that in real life?
Never.
I don't think so. So why do you think you're doing
Some
that?
Some people do that in real life,
like,
though.
If you're posting
I've had some pretty bad experiences.
If you're posting on the internet, that means that you want the comments. You're posting it out here, and it's for everyone to see, so that everyone can comment. So I don't understand why you don't like the comments and stuff. Yeah. But that's still not an okay thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like it, you just, scroll and just don't pay attention to it. Yeah. That's it. But some people are like, oh my God, she is fat. I'm going to write that in comments. And you're just like...
And even then, like, how does it affect you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I could never understand why people have to comment, oh, they're fat. And then it's like, who cares or whatever. And they're like, yeah, but what about her health? And it's like, okay, you didn't care about their health when they were a crack smoking addict, right? You were like, but now you see a little bit of weight and you're like, oh, I'm worried about her health. You're not worried about your health. You're worried about your eyes. You know, you saw this person that was not pleasing to you.
You're just trying to look better, better than that person because you are like slimmer or you think that you take good care of your health and stuff, but you don't know that person's situation. Yeah. And nothing gives you the right to talk like that. And a lot of people need to understand that. Really.
You know? I don't know why it's always like that too. Like, there's just this weird need, like, if somebody gains weight, oh, you gained weight. Like, I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not living this life. Like, oh, I thought I was 100 pounds. Thank you for telling me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that always bothered me. Like, why do people feel the need to point that out? And then say, I'm worried about their health. You don't even know me. Like, you don't know what my health issues are. Like, that's also really weird.
Just because it makes them feel better. I forgot the word in English when someone tries to feel better using the other person for that.
I don't remember the word either.
Well, you got what I mean. And, yeah. That sucks.
Something that weirdly put things in perspective for me happened like a few years ago, like maybe in 2014 or 2015, not that long ago. And I remember, I've never been totally pleased with how I look, like I never like how I look. I think I'm awkward. My hair is psychotic, like everything. And my weight is forever, a point of discussion. And I remember sitting in the temple one day, and there was, there's lots of visitors coming and going, and there was this young girl, and her teeth were like sticking out, but like to where it's like difficult for her to close her mouth. Like it was really like sticking out. And I'm like, boy, that girl has to walk around her whole life with her teeth like that. And she gets up every morning, looks at herself in the mirror and says, I'm fine. And I can meet the day looking like this. And that somehow just seeing her like really turned it around for me, where I was like, look how this girl has the confidence to go out. And I'm here worrying about a couple extra pounds or my crazy hair or whether or not I put on makeup or what, whatever, So I don't know. That did something to me, I guess.
Yeah. It also helps seeing someone who is not struggling, even though it seems like there is something that, can be kind of wrong with them, that, the teeth is sticking out, or they're like super chubby and they're like, oh, I'm fine.
And they're fine and they're doing their thing, and you're just like, well, if they can look at themselves in the mirror and say, I am worthy of being loved, and it's okay for me to go out like this. And then they go out and greet the world. It's like, well, why can't I do that? Why am I hiding, you know? I don't know. That meant something.
So a friend of mine went to Brazil last year, and
Who?
after she came, someone
I'm gonna cut
from
it out.
Moscow. Someone from
someone,
Moscow.
okay.
Someone that you don't know.
Okay.
So she went to Brazil just for traveling, and after she got back, she gained 3 pounds. 3 pounds, 6 pounds, I think. 3 kilos.
That's like
basically.
6 pounds, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I was not, telling her anything about that, but she just brought up the topic herself. And she's like, how women in different countries with different ethnicities somehow have different feelings and relations with their bodies. Because she's like, you go out on the beach in Brazil and you see ladies of all sizes possible.
Oh,
and they carry themselves as if they're queens of this place. And they don't care that they got a little bit of cellulite, a little bit of rolls, just none of that. They're just partying and having fun and doing all the activities that, all the people are doing, even if they are like really big, let's say. And she's like, and I gained these 6 pounds. And she's like, I don't feel bad. I enjoyed the food. Like the stay was amazing.
Had a good vacation.
Yeah. And she's like, and I'm so okay with everything. And then after the trip, she just stopped going on diets like she used to before. Because she said that it turns out that I was just not in the right community or, society. I just needed to see people who, don't care about that stuff. Because I always, felt like I was beautiful, with a few extra pounds, but just, didn't have the courage to really say it out loud to, put myself out there until I saw that other people can do that. And that is really helpful, I think.
Yeah.
And we all should be like Brazilian women, carrying ourselves like the queens.
Yeah. I like that. They're just happy to be there, to just exist. I like that. My body image, like, recently has taken, like, a huge plunge. Not recently, but, like, within the last 3 years. Like, basically after I had a baby.
Oh, you had a baby. Your body went through so much.
Yeah.
You literally a new
But
person.
it just, like, exploded. It just fell apart. Like, I started retaking dance classes, like, Odysseus dance classes. And he'd be like, can you do this? And I'm like, my body fell apart. I can't do anything, When I feel like before I had a baby, I was like, it was like me and these young kids. And I was like, come on, ladies, we can dance. Let's do this. And after now, I'm like, hold on. I'm like, wait for me. I'm like so struggling. Like everything hurts. I'm not as fast as I used to be. I don't know, it was just my knees, like I usually take a painkiller before I go to class because I know my knees are gonna hurt.
My God.
Yeah, it's gotten really rough. Like I've never had like health issues ever at any weight that I've ever been at until after I had a baby. And she's a blessing and I love her. But it's crazy, and like after having her and then I kept gaining weight for some reason, mysteriously, I was like gaining weight constantly, and I had postpartum depression and like a lot of stuff. And then I found out like it was weird because I knew I was gaining a ton of weight, but I also was very like, I just didn't care, like not in a good way, but in like a weird, like I just felt blank. Like it was just a weird, foggy headspace. And I was like, man, I probably should see a therapist. And I said, well, let me just make sure my health is okay before I spend all this money on therapy. So I went to the doctor and it turned out like I had a thyroid issue. And then once I started taking the thyroid medication, I felt so much better.
Because the hormones did something really bad.
Yeah, and then I was like stressed out, and it was just me and the baby, and my husband wasn't there, and it was a lot going on, So, yeah, and once and thyroid has a lot to do with weight too. Like you can't lose weight if you have thyroid issues. So yeah, and then there was also just that whole mental headspace. I kept sleeping. I was sleeping like 12 hours. It was weird. It was but like, yeah, my body image was really, even like before coming here, like I had so much anxiety because I had put on so much weight. I mean, I was 300 pounds. I put on a lot of weight. And I just wanted, it's like 100 degrees outside. And I'm wearing sweaters because I don't want people to see my body, you know? Like, and this is like February. So, I mean, it's just been very hard for me recently to just kind of get into the mode of accepting myself, you know, and being okay with how I look. I still look at myself in the mirror and I don't see that I've lost weight because I've lost since then like 80 pounds.
That's so much.
You know, but I still look at myself and see the 300-pound person, you know? Eyes are weird. Because when I was 300 pounds and looking at my old pictures, I was like, I was so skinny and so beautiful, you know?
I don't know.
But I know in those moments, I never felt skinny and beautiful. I know I was just smiling for a picture and dying inside, you know?
Even that time when you lost like a lot of weight and took that picture sitting in
yeah, and looking all good and whatever, but in my mind, I was like, oh, I still have all this fat and I
But
still
to
have
me,
this
you
and
always
stuff.
look like that in that picture, really.
Yeah.
Because there are so many beautiful things about you.
That's so nice.
And I'm really sorry for you. You know, you've gone through postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And I don't think people talk about it as much as they should talk about it. My
Yeah.
mom had it, and it could have been much worse.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, and also there is this image that, you know, Hollywood stars, they give birth.
Yeah.
And then in a month, they're, you know, back to 40 kilograms and stuff. And
Exactly.
that's so not healthy.
And they're working and they're just their regular self. And then I'm like, because it was such a drastic change. Like, definitely wanted to have it. Like, there's nothing. It's not about the baby. You know, it was just such a drastic change. Because at that time, I was doing dance class. I had almost learned 2 dances. I was just like a little bit again, and I would have learned the whole dance. You know, so there was that. And I was super active with that. And then Maharaj came, and he had like a main role for me. Not a dancing role or whatever. It was like a speaking role, main character. And he wanted me to be in the drama, and he wanted me to travel with him. And I was pregnant, and everyone's like, stay on bed rest. You can't go anywhere. So I had to quit dance, quit the drama. And it was like, and I felt like I just lost myself. Like I was just this like fertility bag or whatever, you know, an incubator. I lost my humanity. And even after I'd had the baby, there's this period of time for a couple months where you're just feeding the baby and putting them to sleep and changing the diaper and feeding the baby and putting them to sleep and changing, you know, like, and you can't break away from that for even a moment, you know, because they're like rapidly growing, so they constantly need to be fed. And it was like, I just felt like a cow, you know? Like, I'm just giving milk and existing. So, I mean, there was that whole thing with the postpartum depression and the body image, and I don't know. And I'm just trying to slowly find my way back to being myself, but with a baby, toddler now. You know? It's a weird place to be. It's weird. Because I don't feel like myself. You know what I mean?
It's a new
Yeah.
self of yours, but it's still you. You're just gonna, you know, take time.
I'm still like digging, you know?
I'm sure you'll get it,
Yeah.
Grandma. That's just
so.
a really amazing thing you did. You have a child, and
Yeah.
you have to be proud of yourself and your body, and thankful to your body. Thankful to every single stretch mark there is,
Yeah.
every single thing, because you literally created a person inside your body.
Yeah.
That is just mind-blowing. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And people don't talk about it enough, and they don't appreciate it enough, and they're like, oh my God, you know, she's just staying with the child, she's not doing much.
Yeah.
Why can't she lose weight? Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I'll add, like, I have, like, Lizzo on my Instagram, and I feel like, you know, because she's so, like, body positive and whatever. But I don't feel that encouragement from her. I don't know if I feel like I'm doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, is it just because of her, or maybe you can find other sources of inspiration?
Maybe. Who inspires you? Are there people that inspire you that you look at on social media? Or no, you just have your friends and family on there and you're like, whatever.
It's That's a hard question, actually. I'll have to think about it.
Because my social, like my Instagram, for example, I have like friends and family, but then I also like to have people that I feel inspired by. So like there's some people that are really like, business minded and they're like grinding, and I'm like, wow, they've achieved so much and they've come from practically nothing and look at what they have. I like that kind of stuff. And then I have Lizzo there, and it's just like,
It was just
I feel like I should be inspired by her, but I'm just like, I don't know.
maybe it's because you feel like you should be inspired, but you only feel that, but you're not really supposed
inspired.
To be inspired.
Maybe.
Then just chill, and I think it will come into your life. Manifest, project. Think of something.
Do my affirmations.
Yeah, and then it's just gonna, I think it's important to see that on social media. Yeah, but I get inspired mostly by people who are just, talking about therapy, inner healing and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 16, I was like, I don't need all of that. This is just too complicated. This is so much work. No. When you grow up, you struggle, and there you're like, this is nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's still people who help you find the light when everything seems super dark and stuff. Still find some motivation. Not those kind of crazy trainers, coaches who be like, work your ass off. You gotta stand up and stuff. No, someone who is really soft, someone, with a nice voice, who talks carefully, who talks to you, who talks to followers as if they are, fragile teenagers, not trying to hurt anybody. That's nice. That's inspiring. I like those kind of people who are, kind to everybody, not gossiping or not, saying terrible things like, oh my God, she needs to lose weight. Who cares about that stuff? Can we just not talk about people's bodies anymore?
Right.
But we are not in 2000, in 2010, not even there. We're in 2023. It's time for something more than discussing each other's bodies.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have someone who inspires on social media for sure. It's just that I can't really think of any example.
That's okay.
I mean, I think I have a few, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So you work in advertising?
In PR.
In PR. Oh, in PR. Okay. But why do I think you deal with advertising? You work for a magazine. No, what do you do?
I work for a few beauty makeup brands, basically.
Uh-huh.
So what I do is that I connect with magazines or with super huge portals or websites and stuff, the ones that are famous. And I get publications about those companies and those magazines, or not only in magazines, just lots of different resources, but those resources that are public and resources that everybody knows about and resources that people, go to and read stuff. So that's what we do. I mean, apart from that, there is much more, but that's just the main thing that we do.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
5 more minutes? Oh, no, we're not done yet. Hi, time passes so fast.
Unbelievable.
See, I told you. An hour goes by so fast.
You only asked one question.
Yeah.
But, you had a whole list of things that we were supposed to discuss.
Exactly.
Insane. Well, you just cut parts and then connect them into one.
If there's things that, we did start rolling and, there's things that you don't want to mention, I don't want to mention, that I'll cut out, but it's still
at this time of my life, I don't care. I'm just so over that, really. And I just wish that teenagers in Mayapur, had more people to talk about that, had more examples like that. Because I know girls struggle, I know boys struggle, also I think that's what I just heard, because Rupa used to be kind of chubby, and then he lost lots of weight over summer because of the toxic environment. And he's like, they were nice and stuff. Yeah. But I just felt like it was still kind of toxic and stuff, because you are pushed to, everybody's pumping, everybody's talking about, how they are exercising and how much muscle they gained, and you're just like, I don't fit in, I have to go to the gym and stuff. So that's also not exactly healthy. When you go to the gym, not because you want to improve your health, but because you want to fit in.
Right.
So
yeah,
there is that.
So you think, so he felt a lot of pressure to like fit in with the guys and look a certain way as well. I think that's something that's starting to become more prominent with men.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way, Kripa? Kripa, are you still working out?
Yeah.
Look at you.
In fact, I'm gonna go work out right after this.
Oh, okay. Yes. We'll wrap it up soon. So, like, there's all this manosphere type content that's out now, you know, about how men have to have a Bugatti and they have to have muscles on their muscles and, like...
A man never cries. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to, show much emotion. You're not allowed to show much affection. You're not allowed to be this and this and this and this. That's just toxic masculinity. That is just...
Toxic masculinity.
Do you feel like you experienced that or not really?
Well...
Or are you a toxic masculine?
No, I don't think so, actually. I mean, you know me.
You're regular.
I'm a feminine guy, if anything. So, no, not really.
You don't feel what? So, like we discussed on our 13th episode, I think it was. Yeah, like because you just started working out. What was the catalyst? Like, what made you decide like I want to lift weights and work out?
Well, basically because when I get older, I don't want to be like getting up at the age of 40, getting out of bed with feeling all frail and like needing to get. That's my main thing. I mean, I do definitely
That's me right now.
I would like to be fit.
These bones, and then they're all cracking when I get out of bed.
Yeah, I would like to be stronger, but my main thing isn't that. It's just I want to be healthy. And healthy specifically like in the future, because I know that what I do right now will affect in 10, 20 years time how I'm gonna be.
True.
I really don't want to be like what happens to a lot of people nowadays, like by the age of 40 you're barely you need someone to like help you move around and stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the main thing.
That's true. I had a comment and I forgot what I was gonna say. I hate when I do that.
Well, I think that's a nice reason for workout when you do that for your own health and your future.
And also when you start young, like it becomes like a part of your lifestyle. It becomes your habit.
Yeah.
Because when you're like 40 and you're like, now I gotta go walk every day. It's not like it's so foreign to you by then.
Exactly. And also because my line of work is very sitting down and just sitting in front of a keyboard like 8 hours a day. So I need that movement. Or
That's true.
I drive around on a motorbike, so I don't like pedal or walk or anything anywhere.
Yeah.
My work involves sitting behind a computer. I need to have some sort of some sort of activity, and then
Yeah. Do you think so? You don't feel pressured to like be a certain way?
No.
You've never felt that way, like even when you were in group school?
I never felt pressured. I guess because I never really cared. I did get pressured, but I never really, because I was really skinny. Still I'm kind of skinny, but not really, But I was quite skinny specifically before, and it was always kind of like a thing that people would comment on, but never really affected me to the point where I need to sure, again, I would try to do exercise and things like that, but it never was toxic to the point where I would feel bad about myself or I need to change this or I'm worthless or things like that. So that's definitely that's the thing.
Right. Do you think it's an issue in Mayapur with guys? Even though it didn't affect you, but men in general?
To some extent. Although maybe it's not definitely because it's Mayapur and everything, people are a little more kind of, a little nicer than usual.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not as bad as it could be, and it's not as bad as it is in a lot of other places.
True.
But definitely that's something that people could work on.
Right.
You know.
Or do you think like it's different, like for men who are devotees, like it's not like you have to lift weights and have a Bugatti, like, but it's like about more like, I don't know how to. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Is that
it's like there's like Hare Krishna style.
Well, well, that's not, yes. You know what I mean? I will agree with you on that. And actually, I feel like this can't be emphasized enough.
Yeah.
Actually, is there's this whole kind of all-pervading thing about. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the body image, that would actually be because your way of, besides your physical body image, even things that you do externally.
Yeah.
I guess would also kind of count towards body image in a sense.
Yeah.
And there's again, us as devotees, there's this whole kind of stereotype thing where like, there's particular things which people notice and will be like kind of, and it extends even past body image, and this is another whole topic which it's in of itself a complete episode worthy topic of like this whole kind of idea of what it means to be a devotee, and that if you don't fall precisely and particularly under these kind of areas, you're not like a proper devotee. It's kind of like, if you're not out there, and we had a meeting with the youth actually just recently where the youth came forward with different ideas for developing manosphere. So that was very, very good meeting. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so like one thing which was discussed specifically is this whole mentality again. It's like if you're not out there like distributing books and on Hirenam, you're kind of useless. It's like I work in IT, and I go to my country, to Bulgaria, and I tell people I work in IT. Yeah. And they're like, so what'd you go to Gurukul for 10 years for? And it's kind of like, well, kind of like, so that kind of thing definitely, but again, that's a whole other massive topic, which there's a lot, it's a lot to, maybe we can include that in the future, Yeah. It's a whole nother thing of body image, and also, body image again, like, hair. If you want to like keep some hair and people look at you like, ooh, this is Maya, so hair stuff. I know. I was actually thinking about that earlier today. Like, I remember when I first came to Mayapur, and they're always like, women have to cover their heads, and I just don't like it. Like, it's annoying. It's uncomfortable. I don't like fidgeting with a head cover all the time. Like, if I'm on the altar or there's like a reason, like, okay, I'll do it. But if I'm just like walking down the street, I don't care, Yeah. And I remember one day sitting in Bhagavatam class and everybody had their head covered except me. And it was like and my husband hated it. Because my husband will do whatever. If everybody is jumping off a cliff, he's running. He's like, let's go run off this cliff together, He will do whatever everybody else is doing. So he used to give me a hard time every day about this, like, not covering my head thing. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. And now, like, if you walk around Mayapur, like, almost nobody has their head covered, What
was the reason for head covering? I mean, I know that you should cover when you're serving on the altar and stuff. But what is the reason? No, like what is their explanation?
Respectful thing. Like,
what does this make you uncomfortable? What? Like what is the reason they're doing?
There is one thing.
Go ahead, Gurukul.
He knows. Into this. There is one thing which basically is like, because like for women specifically, it's like they say that the hair, like there's a lot of like
ghosts.
No. It's like when people
snakes.
When people see your hair, essentially, like it's kind of like the same thing of like how you dress. It's like when people see your hair, it can be like
it's like so attractive that
that's kind of
no one should see it. And then you look at all my split ends have split ends. Like, it's rough back there.
Yeah, like, oh my God, so attractive. I can't control myself, so you better cover and hold that hair so that we
my endo fro is starting to act up in the humidity, and you just can't control yourself. You're like, I want to lick it.
Okay. Then I cover my head and put on that, fancy cholis with the ribbon at their back and stuff. Remember those?
Right.
Like, remember Madhu that is half Indian, half German? That was also now a drama.
Yeah.
So once he said, like, I'm not sure about feet or covering hair or head, but, every time I see a Maraji in a choli like that, I want to put my, my hand under that ribbon here. You're just like, I don't know where it comes from and stuff. And then, okay, and imagine how many people like that are around.
They just want to put their hands on your back.
I mean, under that ribbon, And then in this case, I have to cover my back, my hair, my ankles, my feet, everything.
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to walk bare feet. But, like, imagine you go to the temple and there is someone who's like, oh my God, nice feet and stuff. So in this case, we have to all be covered, like in Arab countries.
Yeah.
I don't think this is what we're looking for.
No. But it was just the head covering thing. Like, okay, I have to wear a sari, whatever, fine. But I don't see why, if I already have my hair in a bun, right, and I'm appropriately dressed, what the head covering does to add on to it. No one has ever looked at my hair and was like, I want you. Usually it's like, I don't know, one of my better qualities, I guess, but never.
Eyes.
My eyes, my
beautiful face,
personality,
your skin.
Many things, but like never my hair. No one was like, I just have to touch her hair,
It's nice.
It's real. It's rough. It's, again, I had a baby and it just became crazy.
You are curly.
Yeah.
But you're not doing it the curly way.
No.
Why?
Because I don't have anything.
What about body image?
Yeah, I don't have anything. And then it just doesn't do the right thing. Like, it won't do the right thing. I used to be really, I don't want to talk about this right now. So, okay, we can talk about this another time, but I was thinking about how devotees, we have our own body image type things. Even me, I've always been a thick girl. And then girls are so skinny. Everybody's so skinny. But aside from that, there's the head covering, or you have to walk around with your japa all the time, or you have to, I don't know, dress in a sari, or you have to, I don't know, whatever.
For guys, it's, dhoti and keep your head clean shaven, and if it's anything more than half a millimeter, in Maya, and you're gonna just become a karmi, and that's it. What's the point? You just there is
stuff like that.
Or I get nowadays in Mayapur is actually a lot better. But I even till today get a lot of looks for my hair. It's kind of
you got great hair. He's got some great hair. I love the colors, the highlighting. It's beautiful. But anyway, you shouldn't have it.
No.
You have a Sika, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Yeah. And also, I feel like there's a lot of pressure for men to behave a certain way, too.
Oh, yeah.
They have to be the dominant.
Well, back to the whole toxic masculinity thing.
Exactly. And it doesn't help that it's, so popular now on social media with all the Andrew Tate stuff and all
we already clickbaited him.
We already did, but I'm going to keep clickbaiting Andrew Tate. The man's in jail. He's got to stay there. But you'd be surprised how when he was on social media and popular and not in jail, but how many devotees was sharing his content, that were men. And it was crazy. Or and again, it comes back to, if you don't know this person, imagine that they're insane or poor or stupid or 12. And then be oh, actually, I shouldn't take this person seriously. Because one time I got into an argument with a man who was women have to be subordinate and men can beat them and blah, blah, blah. And I was boy, you're talking an awful lot about what women should do. What does men have to do? And the only thing he could quote from Prabhupada is they should be expert at rape. And I was gross. Gross. And then when I went on his profile, he had a bunch of Andrew Tate type stuff. And it was get away from me.
Wait, I'm trying to process what you just said over here. What?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing with misogynistic men. they love to tell women what to do. They have to be quiet. They have to be submissive. They have to be like this. I don't know if I'm going to put this in the podcast, but like, you know what I mean? I can see myself delete.
The comments, like.
You know, but like you'll always see this. They want to be like, women should be like this, women should be like that. And it's like, well, what should men do? Radio silence, you know? Or they should be expert at rape. Like, that was the only thing. You know, I've never, ever met a man who could quote back to front what Prabhupada and Shastra says about women and couldn't tell me, but could tell me what they say about men. It's always like what the women should do and, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I think they're just traumatized for not getting enough attention from ladies, and they try to put them down so that, you know, they feel a certain way. But they don't understand that they keep on acting this way. No woman will ever want to be.
I don't want to be with somebody who thinks his only job is to rape me.
Jesus.
You know?
Oh my God.
It's gross and weird. You know? I think life is pretty simple. Like, we're all unique and there's someone for everyone, right? I'm trying to like come up with a conclusion to give to our audience, right? Like, and men, if you're clean, I feel like my standards are pretty low. Be clean. Like, take baths, wash your hair, you know, use soap. Like, just be clean, you know, have hobbies, get a job. I mean, it's a pretty low bar, you know, for what women expect from men. You don't have to be like muscles on muscles on muscles, you know.
Just be a normal person.
Just be normal.
Decent.
If you
Just be
enjoy
kind.
working out, do it. You're doing it for your health, great. But you don't have to be like on steroids, lifting up cars, you know, like just be regular. Like, you ever see those, there's like those studies of, you know, have hobbies, get a job. I mean, it's a pretty low bar, you know, for what women expect from men. You don't have to be like muscles on muscles on muscles, you know.
Just be a normal person.
Just be normal.
Decent.
If you
Just be
enjoy
kind.
working out, do it. You're doing it for your health, great. But you don't have to be like on steroids, lifting up cars, you know, like just be regular. Like, you ever see those, there's like those studies of like what men are looking, you know, like they have the range of like body types, right? And men, they'll have the man say, what do you think a woman wants in a man? And he'll point to like the most buffest guy, right? And then it's like, what does a man want in a woman? And it's usually somebody kind of in the middle, not too skinny, not too fat, you know? And then they'll do the reverse for the woman, and the woman doesn't want a buff guy. She just wants a regular guy. Sometimes she wants a guy with a little skin on him, you know? And yeah, I think we're projecting a lot of our insecurities on other people and think that if I only had bigger boobs, you know, if only I had a thinner nose or whatever, they'll love me. And no one is looking at any of that, you know? And somebody that loves you couldn't care less. I remember when I lived in Miami, because Miami is a place where like everybody's, you know, beautiful and like fancy and you know what I mean, and I'm like and I was a pujari, so it was just like this all day, you know. And I remember somebody came in the pujari room and they're like, do I look different? I was like, no, you look the same. You get a haircut. Like, I was trying to figure it out. And she's like, well, I got Botox. And she'd Botoxed like her face. And she's like, you don't see a difference. And I was like, no, you look like you. Like, I'm not looking at your Botox. Like, I didn't notice any of that stuff, you know? But for her, every time she looks in the mirror, she sees the lines and the wrinkles and the crow's feet and the whatever. And I just see her essence, you know? I see her charm and her humor and her personality, and she's a beautiful person, and I never noticed any of that stuff. So, I mean, really just when you feel insecure, just tell yourself to shut up and move on. Eat some cake. Don't eat cake.
It's just everyone thinks that they're noticing all those little details that you hate about yourself, but that's not true. And actually, when, you know, you see a person, you see the essence normally. Yeah. Or you see the good
Exactly.
part. That otherwise you wouldn't really even be talking to that person if there was nothing good in them. So try to see yourself as a whole, as a bunch of good things. Concentrate on the good things. And I know it's really hard to concentrate on the good things after you've been concentrating on the bad things for a really long time. Like, I had depression, and when I was getting out of it, it was super hard for me to concentrate on the good because of the depression. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
But even when you don't have depression, you've been saying that to yourself for so long, and you've been seeing all those extra kilos and wrinkles and everything. But look at the good. Emphasize the good. You know, do something nice to yourself. Treat yourself nice. Be kind to yourself.
Exactly.
You know, take care of your so-called inner child. You know, because most of these problems start in childhood. And it's really important to give support and love to that inner child who once suffered from, you know, any kind of boy or parent or someone who said something wrong. You know, you just be that parent for your inner child. Tell them that I'm here now, I will protect you, and everything will be fine. And like that, you walk out into the world and, you know, have your shield, have your protection, and concentrate on the good. And I think that helps.
Do you have any advice for the men out there? Or women?
I mean, everything was said. Just don't don't give a shit about what people say and just move on.
Just do your thing. I've been saying this forever. I'm like, anytime I'm like, get a hobby, right? Find things to work on, get a hobby, journal, write your affirmations, you can write down what you like about yourself and pick one thing every day. I like blah, blah, blah about myself, and do that, you know?
I guess something about that, like he's talking about writing affirmation, this and that, it's like, don't be ashamed of being positive. There's this whole, and I guess that this also in of itself falls into the whole idea of body image. There's this whole idea that like people that are super positive, it's kind of thinking, oh, they're so sentimental, you know? But like, don't be ashamed of that, I guess, because it's only strange because people consider it to be.
Yeah.
There's nothing strange about that, or it's like there's nothing wrong with that. It's good. It's a sign of a deep person, a sign of someone that's actually conscious and thoughtful, or rather just shallow on the outside.
Yeah.
So I guess when you start to realize that and you start to actually understand that, then you will naturally start to have a better life, because you'll be able to look deep in yourself, deep in others, and really see what the problems are.
Right. That's true. That's true. Instead of trying to like artificially, you know, try and resolve those issues. Yeah, and I mean, that's something that's nice about being devotee in a way, is like, the bottom line is always, we are not this body, you know? So it's like, then you have other things to focus on. I mean, of course you take care of your health, you know what I mean? Like, but like, once the health is done, you're not like focusing on like, now I need to get lip injections or whatever. You're just like, your goals, your hobbies, your interests, who you are as a person, like, that's what carries you, you know? In your service to Krishna, or life, in your service to yourself too, you know, in a way, because you're self-realizing. Yeah. How does that sound? Anyways, I don't have anything else. You have anything else to say?
No, I don't think so.
No? Anything?
I think we're good.
Is there anything that I said that was stupid and you were like, I really need to yell at her? No?
No.
It was okay?
No, it was all good.
Should we wrap up?
It's a very nice podcast, actually.
Really?
Very, very good topic.
Aww.
And you were nervous. Hold on, we got to do the
No, I
wrap up.
actually really liked it. Like,
And it's
it
just
was
chill,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
Like, you realize, like, it's not like a formal.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, so I told my sister, like, yes, I'm gonna go for the podcast. And she's like, oh, right, you do a podcast. It's like, so what do you guys like talk about? I'm like, whatever, you know.
Just anything. Basically. Basically. I like that. Those are literally the only podcasts I listen to, is the ones where they're just like hanging out and talking.
Yeah,
I don't like these serious ones. It's too boring.
Yeah. I also like the ones where just talking. I
What do
mean,
you watch?
whenever I was.
Hold on, let's wrap up first and then we'll talk. Okay. Thank you very much for watching our show. Check out the links below to find out more about how to support us. We're not just here on YouTube, but we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Be good to each other and be good to yourselves. And let's say it together. Thank you for being... You don't know the line? Thank you for being damn good. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you for being damn good. And here it is, this week's Harinam. Woohoo!